In 1927, a farmer in Sichuan Province dug a drainage ditch and hit jade. Nobody knew what they'd found. The objects went into storage. Research stalled. Another 60 years passed. In 1986, construction workers at the same site broke open 2 pits packed with bronze masks, gold objects, elephant tusks, and jade. The bronzes had faces unlike anything in Chinese art. Bulging eyes on stalks, ears spanning half a meter, lips sealed in expressions that don't read as human. The site was named Sanxingdui, 3-star mound. What followed was one of the most disorienting discoveries in modern archaeology, not because the objects were old, but because they were sophisticated, voluminous, and completely unaccounted for in 3,000 years of Chinese historical record. No other civilization mentioned them. No ancient text described them. The objects themselves bore no writing. In May 2026, researchers confirmed the latest finding from Pit 7, an axe-shaped artifact forged entirely from meteoritic iron sky metal, treated not as a weapon, but as a ritual object. Largest meteoritic iron artifact found in Bronze Age China. Same behavior documented independently in ancient Egypt, Spain, and the Shang Dynasty itself. Sanxingdui keeps producing things that don't fit. Here is what the full record shows. The site sits in the Chengdu Plain of Sichuan Province, a naturally fertile basin ringed by mountains 40 kilometers north of modern Chengdu. The city was established roughly 4,800 years ago and occupied continuously until around 800 BCE, nearly 4,000 years of human habitation. The sacrificial pits that have produced the extraordinary objects date specifically to the late Shang period, roughly 1200 to 1000 BCE, confirmed by radiocarbon dating of pits 3, 4, 6, and 8 to between 1201 and 1012 BCE at 95.4% confidence. 8 sacrificial pits identified so far. The first 2 found in 1986. 6 more discovered beginning in 2019. Over 17,000 artifacts recovered across all 8. The inventory: bronze masks with protruding eyes, some with pupils extending on cylindrical stalks up to 16 centimeters forward from the face. Bronze heads covered in gold foil masks. A standing bronze figure, 2.6 meters tall, including its base. The largest complete bronze human figure from the Bronze Age anywhere on Earth, with hands positioned in a grip that held something, probably an elephant tusk, now gone. Bronze sacred trees, the largest restored to 3.9 meters, hung with fruit, birds, and a dragon descending the trunk. Over 700 elephant tusks in Pit 3 alone. Gold masks, gold foil sheets, jade objects including zhang blades and Kong cylinders, traceable to the Liangzhu culture, dead 800 years before these pits were sealed. In 2024, a jade and stone workshop was confirmed 800 meters north of the sacrificial pit complex, 3,400 years old, producing the objects on site rather than importing finished pieces. And in May 2026, the meteoritic iron axe from Pit 7, 20 centimeters long, 7.9 centimeters wide, too fragile to identify in the field. Laboratory analysis confirmed iron sourced from meteorite. Researchers described its role as sacred rather than functional, sky metal shaped into a ritual form, not a cutting tool. The objects themselves are extraordinary. What makes Sanxingdui genuinely disorienting is the list of things that aren't there. No human remains inside the sacrificial pits. The Shang Dynasty, operating simultaneously 1,500 kilometers to the northeast, practiced human sacrifice at a documented scale, burying servants and captives with their rulers. Sanxingdui's pits contain bronze, jade, gold, ivory, and silk remnants. No bodies, no writing. The Shang had oracle bone script, one of the earliest writing systems in human history, used for divination, record-keeping, administrative documentation. Sanxingdui produced not a single inscribed character across 17,000 objects and 8 pits, spanning 200 years of deposition. No mention in any historical text. Chinese historical records are among the most continuous and detailed in the ancient world. 3,000 years of documentation, and Sanxingdui appears nowhere until modern excavation. The ancient Shu kingdom is referenced obliquely in later texts. Li Bai's famous line, "The Shu road is hard, harder than climbing to heaven," but as a remote and mysterious place even to Tang Dynasty poets writing 1,000 years after Sanxingdui's abandonment. The aesthetic matches nothing. Shang bronzes are covered in repeating geometric patterns, Teoti masks, dragons, geometric registers. Sanxingdui bronzes are figurative, monumental, and surreal. The protruding eye masks have no parallel in any contemporary tradition. The standing figure's proportions, elongated hands, structured robe, commanding scale, don't match human anatomy or any known sculptural convention from the period. A Bronze Age civilization built the largest human figure on Earth, forged ritual objects from meteorite iron, and left 17,000 artifacts across 8 pits, with no written record, no human remains, and no mention in 3,000 years of Chinese history. Subscribe. Things that shouldn't exist goes this deep every episode. Sanxingdui left no writing. It did leave a legend, encoded in the objects themselves, cross-referenced with fragments of ancient Shu mythology that survived in later texts. The protruding eyes connect to Cancong, the semi-legendary first king of the Shu people. Ancient chronicles describe Cancong with muzong, a term meaning vertical eyes or eyes facing forward on stalks. The physical description matches the bronze masks precisely, not symbolically, anatomically. The masks may be literal portraits of a divine ruler lineage whose defining characteristic was an ocular deformity, or a deliberate iconographic claim to supernatural sight. The bronze sacred trees connect to the Shu cosmology of the 10 suns. The legend, 10 suns lived in a sacred tree in the east, carried each morning by golden birds, 1 sun per day, the others resting in the branches. 9 of the 10 suns were eventually shot down by the archer Hu Yi to save the earth from burning. The Sanxingdui trees carry birds on their branches. Sun disks appear in the artifact inventory. The cosmological framework of the objects and the mythological tradition align directly. The tree itself, nearly 4 meters tall, 3 tiers of branches, 9 birds, a dragon on the trunk, isn't decorative furniture. It's a 3-dimensional cosmological diagram. Heaven, earth, and underworld on a vertical axis, with the sun cycle running through it. A physical model of how the Shu people understood the universe. The jade objects add another layer. Liangzhu culture Kong cylinders, square outside, circular inside, encoding the earth-heaven cosmological geometry, appear in Sanxingdui's pits, despite the Liangzhu culture collapsing 800 years earlier. Either Sanxingdui's people inherited these objects across 8 centuries of continuous transmission, or they were deliberately antiquing their ritual inventory with objects they recognized as ancient and powerful. Either answer implies a cultural sophistication that goes well beyond what the absence of writing might suggest. For decades, Sanxingdui was treated as an isolated anomaly, a lost civilization with no external connections. Recent analysis has complicated that narrative significantly. The bronze casting technique used at Sanxingdui piece mold casting is the same method developed in the Yellow River Basin. The Shu weren't inventing metallurgy independently. They were using the same foundational technique as the Shang Dynasty, adapted to produce radically different objects. Cultural exchange without cultural assimilation. The Jade workshop confirmed in 2024 adds precision. Sanxingdui was producing its own jade objects on site, but the Zhang blades and Kong forms it produced align with traditions from geographically distant cultures. The Shu were absorbing ritual object types from across a wide cultural network. Liangzhu from the Yangtze Delta, Shang adjacent forms from the Yellow River Basin, and integrating them into a distinctly local cosmological program. The Meteoritic iron connection reaches further. Tutankhamun's iron dagger, the Valina treasure bracelet in Spain. The Fu Hao tomb iron-bladed axe from the Shang Dynasty. Now Sanxingdui Pit 7, Meteoritic, confirmed 2026. Around 1000 to 800 BCE, Sanxingdui ended. The 8 sacrificial pits were sealed in what appears to be a coordinated ritual act. Objects were burned. Jade subjected to high temperatures before burial, confirmed by 2025 analysis of tremolite jade deterioration structures. Bronze pieces were broken. The entire inventory was deposited and covered. Then the city was abandoned. A farmer hit jade in 1927. 60 years later, 8 sacrificial pits produced 17,000 objects from a Bronze Age civilization that 3,000 years of Chinese historical record never mentioned. No human remains, writing or external description. Objects with no parallel in any contemporary tradition. Faces with eyes on stalks, a 2.6-meter bronze human, a 4-meter cosmological tree, over 700 elephant tusks, and now a ritual axe forged from a meteorite. The same sky metal instinct, iron from falling stars treated as sacred rather than practical, documented independently in Egypt, Spain, the Shang Dynasty, and Sanxingdui across a span of 5 centuries. The Shu sealed their pits, burned their jade, broke their bronzes, and walked 40 kilometers to build Jinsha. They took their knowledge. They left their cosmology in the ground. Pit 8 is still being excavated. The full inventory hasn't been published. Whatever else is in there, we don't know yet. Drop a comment. The protruding eye masks as literal portraits of a divine ruler lineage with a documented ocular anomaly is the detail that closes the alien hypothesis and opens something stranger. A bloodline claim encoded in bronze, repeated across 2 centuries of ritual objects. Next week, on Things That Shouldn't Exist, we'll take a look at some of the most bizarre human or hybrids of humans archaeologists have found. Subscribe. I'll see you there.